Hi guys, welcome back to Code Era. Today our topic is climbing stairs. Here you can see you are climbing a staircase. It takes n steps to reach the top. Each time you can either climb one or two steps. In how many distinct ways you can climb to the top? Here we have a number of steps where the person can climb for only once or twice to reach the top of the climb steps. Now, if you see in example 1, n is equal to, that means you have only two steps where the person can climb one step each or twice at a time. In case of n is equal to 3, you have three steps where the person can climb one step each, or first case he can jump for one step and he can jump twice at a time, or in next case he can jump twice at a time and he can jump for one at a time. Now the number of ways is 3. So the output has to be 3. Now we will figure out how to find this solution. Okay, let's start the 1D problem. In order to identify the DP problem, the question just replicates the count total number of ways. That means when a question tells you to count the total number of ways, it may be which gives the minimum output or which gives the maximum output. The question would be mentioned that we have to return the minimum output as a result, or you have to give the result as maximum output. For that, you have to try all the possible ways. For the recursion, we have to use such recursion method in order to find all these, try all possible ways. For the recursion, you have to count all the ways and best ways. And if you see in the question, they have given the number of ways to climb the stairs. Here in our case, we have 3 ways. The for 1, 2, 3. We can jump one time and another one time and another one time. And we have another one more option. We can climb 2 at a time and we can climb 1 at a time. We can climb 1 at a time and we can attempt 2 at a time. But it has a difference in the index. So we have 3 ways. So for that, now we will just find out how to identify the number of ways to give the output. Now I'm going to tell you the most important trick in this DP series. This is a shortcut trick where we use this trick in many of the DP problems. This has to be remembered. Okay. First thing, try to represent the problem in terms of index, and then do all possible stuff on the index according to the problem statement. And next, sum of all the stuffs, like you can find the minimum or you can find the maximum. It depends on the question that they require. Now, when it comes to a question, if we stand on the last index 0, we don't have another option. We just have to return the 1. Because this is to understand that we are using a left and right, which is a method which we mostly use in recursion playlist. If you see any recursion videos, you can find the left and right method where the resultant will give 1 as an output. So if you stand on the person stand on the last index, should have to return 1. So in order to identify the problem in terms of index, our index first function will return the if statement where the index is equal to 0, return 1. And I'll tell you this later. And they have asked us to jump either once or twice. For one case, if the person standing on the last index can be able to jump for only one index or can able to jump to 2 index. For that, we use the function n-1 for 1 index, and for 2 index we use n-2. And now, in order to get the number of ways, we have to add the left and right function where we can get the total number of ways the man can jump to reach the last destination, 1 or twice. And if you see, I have written a if statement where if index is equal to 1, return 1. Because when the person 0, 1, 2, 3, when the person is present in the first index, and if the person try this function n minus 2, it goes to minus 1. So 1 minus 2 gives minus 1, and it is not possible. So for in that case, in order to avoid this problem, we give a statement if index is equal to 1. If the person stand here, we return 1, because the person stand here, he cannot move forward. Since for one case, the f of n minus 1 can jump to the previous last index, but for f of n minus 2 we will get minus 1. In order to avoid such case, we use this statement. If index is equal to 1, return 1. That he can jump only for one jump, so we have an opportunity to return the 1 as our function call. And now I will show you how this function returns the number of ways the given jumps. Now if you see, the index is 3. We assume that the person is standing in the top of the steps. Whether if you start from the bottom or start, there is no difference. But our code represents the person should stand on the top of the number. Means the index has to be the n minus 1. So now the person is in third index. So index is equal to 3. Now as per the left, it can move only for one step. F of n minus 1. 3 minus 1, 2. So our function returns 2. And for right, 3 minus 2, 1. And now for this function, for this particular function, I am showing this. Now the first two function, it once again goes to for 2, and once again it applies for the left, 2 minus 1, 1, and 2 minus 2, 0. So we get another 1 and comma 0. And if you see, for the first one function, when the function once again goes for 1, we return then 1 as a call. Return 1. And then if you see the second function, which has a function index 0, if as per the if statement, we get the return as 1. So this return, in first case, it returns 1 and it returns 1, and 1 plus 1, 2. And now this 1 plus 1, 2 goes for this particular function, 2. 2 as function gets the value 2. Now this 2 goes to the third function, 3. Before that, if you see, in the first case when index is equal to 3, we have another statement, 3 minus 2 is equal to 1, function 1. Since the function 1 now goes for the function, and then it implies if index is equal to 1, return 1. It returns a 1 statement, and now the plus 2 and plus 1. 2a 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. Since in the beginning what I have said, it will return 3 ways. Here you can see our output is 3. So this is our solution. Try to implement on the code in your laptop. Thank you. Please subscribe and like and comment.